Hi, I'm Arsham, and this series of videos about computer science and game development are sponsored by Kitacode. I've started taking a course called CS50 made by Harvard, which gives you all the knowledge you need for computer science and game development. And this series of videos are summarized versions of that course. Feel free to check it out for yourself. Now on to the video. Okay, welcome back everybody. So we're still going to continue our data types examples, but in this video we're going to do floats and bools, since the previous video got a bit lengthy. So yeah, let's get started. So in this video we're going to talk about floats first of all, and then we're going to move on to bools. So let's get started. So what we want to do is ask the person for two floats, and basically let's try it out. So how we do that is pretty simple to the previous ones. If you guys don't remember or haven't watched it yet, please go watch the previous video to get familiar with some of the syntax that you need for C. I'm not going to go through it in this video anymore. So yeah, although if any new syntax comes up, then I'll talk about it. But for now, there's no new syntax. So let's get started. So we want to make a float. Name it X, for example. It's just basically a number where we want to get. And what we do is use the CS50 library again, get_float. So we want to get a float from the user, and we want to prompt them. We're going to go through this quickly because we don't really need to spend that much time on it. I'm going to copy and paste it, and this time we want another variable, since we want two variables, and name it Y this time. So what we want to do now is just want to print the division, basically, the X divided by Y. So let's print it out. Print f X divided by Y is equal to, actually we can just put equal to, we don't need to put that. Let's put some spacing, make it look nice. Now what we do is, we've already done %s, we've done %i. Now what we want to do is do %f. So %f is basically used for floats, %s was used for strings, and %i was used for integers. Now we're strictly working with floats, and again it won't work if you put %s or I if you're trying to print a float. So let's just do that, comma, and then basically what you want to do. Again, you could put this in a variable. You could put the division of these in a variable separately, but you could also do it in line. Since there's no comma between these, this counts as one parameter basically. Or you could even put it in brackets if you want to be very sure of it, but you don't really need to. So x comma y is not that, so it's x divided by y, so it should work now. But once we print this, actually we need a \n before we forget. So once we print this, we'll see what happens. It's kind of weird. So make data types, no errors, that's good. Data type Boolean. So I'm not gonna go in detail of so many things and make it a difficult task for you guys, because we're not really learning C right now. We're just learning the basics of data types and learning some syntax along the way. So let's comment this. We don't need this lines of code anymore. And if you guys are wondering where you can get this code, I'm actually gonna publish it on my GitHub in a file. I'll link it down in the description below. So yeah, you can guys go check it out and you can test these codes out for yourself, and make sure you have the CS50 library. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Alright, so now let's move on to our bool. So how does bool work? Well, bool, as I defined earlier on in the data types video, bool actually has one or two values, either true or false, because it has two states basically, like binary, 0 or 1. So what we want to do now is actually pretty simple. We want to check if a variable's value, which is set to, for example, false, if it's true, then we want to print true. Else, if it's false, we want to print false. So let's get into it. It might be a bit confusing as I'm explaining, but once we start doing it, you might understand. So instead of using float, string, int as data types, we want to use bool. So Boolean is basically a short form. Let's name it x, and let's make it equal to false by for the beginning at least, and we can change this later on. Again, this is not basically the user's input. This is hard-coded inside, but you can ask the user for their input. So yeah, let's get into it. If we want to check if x equals, and this is again a way where you check and compare two values or variables in this case. So if x is true, we want to say, okay, yes, this is true, and we want to print x is true. So print f x is true. This is good, and this time we don't need else if, because we're not going to have any other conditions, right? But this time, since there's only two possible values, either true or false, we can go straight to the else, and we don't need extra lines for the condition itself. So yes, that's it. And now we want to print f x is false this time. And this should be a fairly simple code to understand. If you guys don't understand the conditional statements, don't worry at all. Later on I'll explain about them as well. So let's clear our buffer and let's make data types. And we do /data types. Let's run it, no problem. Okay, we forgot the \n, which is a problem, but for now we can deal with that. So now x is false. So that is true because our bool x is false. Now let's open a new terminal and close this previous one, and this time don't forget the \n. And don't worry about the spacing, since it's blue it doesn't really count as being printed, it just acts upon it, like adds a new line, or in this case it was like %i or something, %s. So now let's try it again, but this time we change it to true. And what we do here is just make it again, data types, /data types, no errors, and x is true this time because we hard coded it to true. But we don't really have anything that checks that if it's anything else, because we don't want to add another if statement for now, since we're not that familiar with them. But for now, this is how bools look like, and later on we'll also do other examples of this as well. If there's anything in this video you haven't really understood, like conditional statements, don't worry, I'll explain them in the upcoming videos more in depth. I'm just giving these examples for you guys to understand data types better. Okay, so thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please feel free to subscribe and hit that bell icon because it makes you notified every time I upload. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.